Namaste Instafam. Once again, we are live with our 8th episode of Right Choice Baby. And today I have someone with me as a guest whom I've known professionally first, as a colleague first, and then I came to know of him as a celebrity. I know him from my Ogilvy days. He is an ad man. He's also quite a madman. And from a distance, he appeared to be quite a crazy, loud person who is just, who will be speaking the truth and wouldn't care about offending people. He is, in fact, famous for his offensive humor. But I came to know him a little better when I came face to face with him. We sat down to discuss a couple of ideas. And I saw the side of this crazy guy who is no nonsense and all work and who is interested in creating beautiful ideas. And there was no I am the boss kind of a vibe that he shared with me. But he was constantly, in fact, interested in hearing the ideas, following up with me on the ideas. And that's when I came to know that he's truly a creative person in his soul. He is all for creativity and all for work. Most of you know him as a comedian. He's great at comedy. He writes great jokes. He in fact doesn't write his jokes. He just forms. He creates his entire set and then he performs it. Is what I've known from him, from whatever he has spoken so far about his process. But we will get to know more about him on how he sells his jokes. So basically, him as an advertiser and him as a comedian. So without wasting any time, let me have Neville Shah with us. I would like to send him a request. And I'm really excited to have him. Hi Neville.
नमस्कार नमस्कार
Namaste. How are you?
जिंदा हूँ आप बताइए
आप काफी थके हुए लग रहे हैं.
अरे बट ये तो संडे मॉर्निंग है काम होता है थकना
I know. Okay, and you have a lot of AMAs also coming your way. You've already started answering them. I can see
हाँ
that.
बिकॉज दिन क्या करें अच्छा
So
वो सब जो
Neville's
अभी बोल वो सब अच्छा बॉस एंड ऑल बिकॉज एवरीबडी अदरवाइज जस्ट आई डोंट थिंक ऑफ माई सेल्फ एज अ बॉस एंड ऑल दैट नाउ यू से बिकॉज ऑल दीज
you
अदर
are,
फेलोज
you
आर
are.
ऑल लाइक
So I
क्या
don't know
हरामी
because you
आदमी
are.
है ये
I'm
वो
sure it's good to have a Harami Admi as your boss, you know.
No, but like the fact that like I don't care about like designation
Bossism.
and all, ये सब please important है ये सब बोलने correct चलो बोलो
No, I
नमस्कार
really feel, I don't know how you are as a boss because you haven't been my boss, but I really enjoyed working or brainstorming with you. And one thing I realized was that you don't fall into that she's my junior or the idea should be mine or I should add something in it because I'm the boss and I'm the senior, which I've otherwise observed in a lot of senior people, especially in advertising, and is something I like about you.
thank you इसके लिए
And
मैं टी शर्ट
I
पहनते हैं
don't know, matlab, I think this interview was a trap just to get to talk to you and get to know you a little bit more. क्योंकि otherwise I don't know मुझे मौका कब मिलता.
चलिए कोई बात नहीं हेलो नमस्कार
तो नमस्कार. अब आप मुझे
बोलो
बताइए कि आपने मुझे last time बोला था I think you entered advertising by fluke.
हाँ बिकॉज क्या
How did that
1999
happen? Like
2000 2001 1999 2000 2001 2003 2004 में कहाँ था बीएमएस एमबीबीएस बीबीएस एमएमएम क्यूआरपी ये सब था ही नहीं ब्रो हम लोग को मालूम ही नहीं था कि एडवर्टाइजिंग इज एन ऑप्शन नो वन थॉट ऑफ इट एज एन ऑप्शन इट वाज ओनली पीपल हु were related to people who had fam in the media knew that there was something called advertising. I mean, sure.
uh-oh, there is a network glitch.
क्या नेटवर्क ग्लिच मेरे को तो फुल सुनाई दे रहा है सब कुछ
Okay, आपका pause हो गया था वीडियो थोड़ी देर के लिए.
हाई
But
ला
yeah, so you did not do any kind of course or degree in advertising.
बाद में क्या
What did you
बाद
study?
में क्या बाद में क्या अरे मैं फेल है मैं कुछ पास वास कुछ नहीं है ब्रो मैं
I
10th
think you.
स्टैंडर्ड में 56% लेके आया फिर 12th स्टैंडर्ड में 48% साइंस में लेके आया फिर मैं FIB फिर मैं फिजिक्स किया फिजिक्स करते करते मैंने बोला छोड़ ये भी नहीं हो रहा है फिर मैं पोस्ट ग्रेड इन सिम्बी किया तो चल रहा है जस्ट इट्स रियली नॉट लाइक आई डोंट नो like it just
I
I
think you
don't
went to Simbi. I think you were following some girl. That's how you
ये
ended up in
it's a
Simbi.
it's a
What
nice
was
it's
that
a nice
story?
It's a nice story to keep. It's a nice legend and a myth to keep. So it's okay. It's fine. No, just, I mean, nobody knew what advertising was. I mean, eventually it just sort of, you're like, oh, okay, there's a course that you can actually study and do whatever you can. So that's where it became semi-interesting. And then you were like, okay. तो फिर समझ में आया कि अच्छा ठीक है, strategy वैटेजी ये वो, ओ ओके ऐसा सोचता है ये वो फिर.
But do you feel that is still the same? Like a lot of people enter advertising just like that because they are not able to figure out any other career options.
Yeah, yeah. I think advertising is a melting pot of genius failures.
That's very well put. Yeah, because even till date, I've met a lot of people, including my parents, who feel that people who are not serious in their careers end up becoming advertisers, end up getting into, say, copy or servicing. And that's why there's no skill to it. You don't need a particular skill to it. You just enter it and then you are there.
नहीं नहीं,
Do you think that's correct?
वो सच नहीं है. वो सच नहीं है. एक एटीट्यूड है, एक माइंडसेट है. there is a there is absolutely a skill that you need. I just think that because the industry in itself, or the vocation itself is fairly chilled. I think that the importance on mark sheets and the importance on technical learning is not as important. I think that people realize, because advertising is effectively about great ideas. And if the belief is that ideas can come from anyone, then why is education an important parameter to sort of come
But
into the vocation?
you also learn ideating and writing a
You
copy. Like
cannot.
writing a
You
copy.
cannot.
No, no,
You
no. I'm
cannot.
saying
ये
writing a
झूठ है.
copy.
ये झूठ है. सिखा नहीं सकता कोई. सिर्फ प्रैक्टिस से आता है. ये कोई सिखा नहीं
Yeah,
सकता है.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. You also learn it on your way while you are working with
हाँ.
an agency.
Correct.
So then, like I've heard, I've seen a lot of your AMAs has this question that how should a young writer start if they are in advertising or if they
By
want to become a
writing.
copywriter?
By writing.
Yeah, but then how do they get a job by writing? How do they ensure
You have
that
to have a portfolio. Get a portfolio. मतलब बिना
so they
पोर्टफोलियो के
should
कैसा
work
जज
on their
करेगा मैं.
own? So they should work on their own ads, a couple
Yeah, work
of.
on your own ads. Dude, in my team, when I was hiring, and we want to hire a junior writer, what we used to do is, if they didn't have a portfolio, we would give a copy test. And this is at Ogilvy as well. Like, I have a copy test that I hand out to absolute juniors who, when we're looking for a junior writer, ऐसा नहीं है कि ऐसा हम लोग डाल देते हैं फिर ये वो दिन गया जब हम लोग खरीदता था public. But now when there is a requirement for a junior copywriter, and they don't have a portfolio, or their portfolio is not very great, but in the face-to-face conversation they seem like they can make a difference. You give them a copy test, and then the copy test does what the I mean, the copy test is a great evaluating tool for that.
So you have had a very interesting journey. Like when we were speaking, you told me that how you entered MTV and from there you came to Ogilvy and you have worked in other small agencies in between and you have had stints of 6 months to 1 year. And for various reasons, you were, switching from one place to another. There's also a lot of fear, or I don't know if it's a stigma or if it's a real fear that young people have while they're entering. That agency has a lot of politics. Which other corporate cultures don't have. Is
एक
it true?
मिनट. पहला तो सब कॉर्पोरेट कल्चर में पॉलिटिक्स है. The
उससे
more
ज्यादा
the
है
stakes,
एडवर्टाइजिंग में?
it depends. More the stakes, the more the politics. ऐसा तो है ही नहीं ना. I mean, what is this dreamy-eyed glasses that you're wearing that you're going to imagine where there is money and power at play, that people aren't going to play politics? Are you out of your mind? Come on, don't be a juvenile delinquent. It's not possible, right? So I'm saying, just like, think about it. No, you're coming into an industry or into an office or into an organization or into a universe where there is copious amounts of money at play and there is copious amounts of influence at play. Why will there not be politics? And this politics exists across any sector. There's politics in law, there's politics in banking, there's politics in insurance, there's politics in, I don't know, startups, there's politics in every damn thing. So I don't mean politics मतलब इसको मार डालो है ना, but I mean just like the fact that there's a rat race and people are going to do things to put you down and things. But I think it's gotten better. I think that team structures have gotten better in advertising for sure. एक जमाने पे हम लोग को rumors सुनता था. मैं ओगिलवी में था नहीं बचपन में. सो हम लोग को रूमर सुनने को मिलता था कि ओगलवी इतना कॉम्पिटिटिव है ना कि तुमको तुम्हारा कंप्यूटर को भी लॉक करके जाना पड़ता है वरना तुम्हारा आइडिया कोई चोरी कर लेगा. मतलब ये क्या, आई मीन दीज आर अर्बन मिथ्स एंड अर्बन लेजेंड्स. आई मीन आई डोंट सी दैट thing happen at all
I've
in
heard
in
stories where this has happened.
okay, sure. So but I mean if you've not heard it firsthand then it's not
First hand.
necessarily okay.
I've
So
heard it
abhi
first.
but they after that has that person proved the fact that they can have an idea just as good? If they
Yeah.
have then maybe yeah okay there's truth to it, but otherwise I mean then it's like मतलब मेरे को भी आइडिया आया था मैंने भी सोचा नहीं फिर मैंने डाल दिया फिर ये सब ऐसा बहुत ऐसा एवरेज. So anyway, the point is, I think that there's politics and everything. I think, but if you're entering as a junior copywriter, you're so down the pecking order that nobody, it just doesn't affect you. You're so down the pecking order. तेरे को AV लिखने का है, 2 printed लिखने हैं, एक DM लिखने हैं, और आइडिया सोचने हैं. तेरे को क्या करने का है पॉलिटिक्स के साथ उसके बाद? So I don't know, man.
People just fear they will get, crashed when they will join a bigger agency as compared to joining a smaller agency or a startup, and which is why they don't want to apply to it. Also, because of the culture where, you
स्मॉलर
cannot say
एजेंसी में ज्यादा
anything.
पॉलिटिक्स होता है बड़े एजेंसी से.
Okay. Have
Because
you
in a
ever come
bigger
across?
agency, because in bigger agencies, people are secure. People know that there is. अभी ओगलवी में क्या है? JWT Delhi में क्या है? I mean, I was at JWT Delhi for 6 months, right? Like I just didn't like working at JWT Delhi. That's the difference. It has nothing to do with whether there was quality or not. I mean, that's there in every organization. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that it totally depends on the. मेरा ना एक simple. I've explained this, I think, in a couple of other lives. There's a simple Venn diagram that I believe for a career that you need to do. Okay, the Venn diagram is one circle is people, one circle is money, and one circle is work. The ideal job is the intersection of all three. The best case scenario is the intersection of two. Whichever two is important to you. Are you going to prioritize money over the quality of the work, or are you going to prioritize money over the kind of people that are there, or are you going to prioritize people over the kind of work that are there? Whatever. Like it could be I'll work with shitty people, but the work is great and the money is great, तो मैं कर लेगा. जो Wall Street है. Okay. Then there is the whole like I will do okay work where the work is not necessarily satisfactory, like unbelievably satisfactory. But मैं करेगा क्योंकि पैसा अच्छा है और लोग अच्छा है. And then there's the other thing that work amazing है, पैसा fuck all है, लेकिन लोग अच्छा है. ओगलवियन में था. ठीक है. तो I'm saying that that's really how the priority and that Venn diagram works. You just have to figure out what is your intersection set.
Which brings me to my favorite topic, on which we also had a small fight. So there was like a lot of hue and cry when lockdown hit all of us, and people, especially in advertising, people were like, of course, people were working day in and day out in every sector, but in advertising it went crazy, and there were like no weekends, no national holidays, nothing given whatsoever, and people were working, and there was also like you know that there is no appraisal also being offered at the end of all of this bhasan that you are becoming a part of. So do you think that was fair? And it's not like you are not
रुको
just let me
रुको
finish.
मैं सवाल समझ गया.
Let me finish. Just one more point. It's not like you are saying that we don't have clients, so we are not getting work. You are doing outdoors in the middle of a pandemic. That means you're definitely getting work. You're making TVCs. You're doing everything that you otherwise would do, and also entering pitches. So yeah, now you can go.
Your first question, in your first sentence, you said that we were working on weekends and public holidays. ये एडवर्टाइजिंग में रेगुलरली होता है, तो पैंडेमिक में क्यों चेंज होएगा ये मेरे को नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. ये आर्ग्यूमेंट क्या वाहियात आर्ग्यूमेंट है. यू गो टू एनी एजेंसी एंड यू गो टू एनी क्रिएटिव पर्सन एंड बी लाइक, ये तू वीकेंड को क्या, अरे ब्रो बहुत काम है यार, 4 एवी लिखने हैं, 2 टीवीसी है, परसों पिच है. दिस इज एवरी सिंगल क्रिएटिव एजेंसी, every single account management, planning and servicing and creative person in the universe.
But it's not
I'm
back to back. It's not that.
It is back to back. It is back to back. The weekend is a myth. The weekend is actually once a month, or the weekend is actually once a thing. I mean, we try our best to try and squeeze out things where it's long weekends. Also, you're looking at it as individual. Please, no, look at it from my point of view for a second. I have an entire team to manage. Now, that entire team, there are X amount of people who will get a weekend off on this weekend. But another set of people are still working on that weekend, which means I am working on that weekend. Then when this team gets off, there is a third team that's working. So I'm working on that weekend also. So no, there is this myth that you get weekends off. You do not get weekends off. Plus, as a creative person, कैसा मन को शांति मिलेगा जब तक स्क्रिप्ट क्रैक नहीं होएगा. एक तो ये इम्पोस्टर सिंड्रोम में ही मर जाएंगे हम लोग. जो भी आइडिया आएगा मन में पहला तो टट्टी आइडिया करके रिजेक्ट कर देंगे. Then the minute there is a deadline to hit, we will be like, oh fuck, 12 बजे है ना, अच्छा वो वाला स्क्रिप्ट ठीक ही था, लिख लेता हूँ यार, देख लेते क्या होता है यार, फिर लिख लेगा और स्क्रिप्ट अच्छा होगा. ये this is creative evolution. You're going to be constantly thinking at the back. Why do you think creative people have such a hard time filling timesheets? क्योंकि हम लोग 1 hour 26 minutes एक ब्रांड को नहीं दे सकते हैं. हम लोग ऐसा ब्रेक डाउन नहीं करता है क्रिएटिव काम. I mean, you're thinking of brand A, brand B will click something. So there is no thing. As far as the money conversation goes, कि तुम कुत्ते की तरह काम कर रहे हो.
Put that question over here. That just for our viewers. That the idea is that, of course, every sector was going through the same. They are also working day in and day out. Consultant works like 12 hours, 16 hours a day a lot of times. But then they are getting paid as much. In advertising, if you are making someone work 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, you are not even getting paid that much.
छोड़ दो एडवर्टाइजिंग. किसने बोला है एडवर्टाइजिंग में रुकने को? छोड़ दो, जाओ कंसल्टेंट बनो, देखो कितने प्रोजेक्ट्स मिलते हैं, पैंडेमिक में कितना सैलरी मिलता है अकाउंट में. जाओ, छोड़ दो. किसने बोला है करो? My point is, you don't understand the importance of a steady salary coming in. A consultant during the pandemic has not only lost revenue and income, they have lost jobs because they're a consultant. You have gotten Ogilvy and Mehta has not cut salary of one employee. We have not cut salary of one employee. Every other agency has managed to cut salaries. A lot of agencies, cut salaries of a lot of people. Okay, but think now, as far as advertising goes, advertising was never fair when it came to pay. You are either underpaid in advertising or you are overpaid in advertising. Okay, this is a long standing truism about everything. Okay, so why is this a surprise? Now, as far as the appraisal conversation goes, this I'm not talking from a capitalist mentality or anything. I'm talking about from an organizational perspective. All right. Now, from an organizational perspective, you have to, and I'm not speaking for Ogilvy because I don't speak on behalf of Ogilvy.
Of course.
I do not know numbers. I do not know anything, but I'm just trying to give you a context of something. We are a service-driven model. Our revenue model is service-driven, which means that if a client reduces my fee, I still have to sustain, right? Because I am dependent on somebody else's revenue and somebody else's profit. I am a cost center to somebody else. Now, if I'm a cost center to somebody else, then there is a very simple dynamic. If their profit margins drop, they will cut my profit. They will cut my fee. If they cut my fee, I am still paying my employees and my things. To expect an appraisal is a bit ridiculous.
I understand. I'm not even questioning that why there was not an appraisal, and I'm understanding that it's actually great that there were no layoffs. There was no cut of salaries. Your video is paused again.
मैं राम गोपाल वर्मा हो गया था.
But my question is why is this such a thing of a pride? Why are we taking pride at working on weekends, and why is it such a? Why
we
is
aren't
it being
taking
supported?
pride.
Why shouldn't it be
One
challenged?
second. Who is taking pride? You think anybody is like, हाँ मैं weekend को भी काम करता हूँ. Oh, amazing. मेरे को ये कोई बोल रहा है? नहीं. We are not taking pride in it. Nobody is taking pride in it. It is a bane of our existence that we have to do it. But we have to fucking do it. You don't want to do it, please go join some place which shuts at 5:30 in the evening. Nobody is forcing you to be in advertising. Every job has its problems. Every job has its benefits. Every job. Okay. If you are a doctor, you're on call at 4:30 in the morning because you have to save someone's life. You are paid a copious amount of money once you become a private practitioner. If you are an intern, you are at 4 o'clock in the morning on call to save someone's life, and you are not even paid anything because you're a student.
True.
So every job has
Pros and
its
cons.
pros and its cons. You decide which pro and which con works for you, which pro and con doesn't work for you. Advertising में weekends नहीं मिलेंगे, तुम मत करो advertising.
But you
किसने
don't
बोला है
think this
करो?
can change? And like if we have that kind of
कैपिटलिस्ट
people
सिस्टम में
who
कैपिटलिस्ट
can,
सिस्टम में चार लोग डिफरेंस नहीं बना सकते. ये कैपिटलिज्म का वर्च्यू है. Capitalism, the biggest myth about capitalism is that it is a democracy. It is not a democracy. It is run by the people who are capitalists, who have the money. तो कहां से तुम चेंज कर पाओगे? मत करो काम सैटरडे को, 4 दिन में नौकरी छोड़ दो. My point is nobody is celebrating the fact that we have to do work on the weekend. At Ogilvy, very clearly, I remember because we were working like dogs, we said, okay, forget it. 26th to the 4th of January, 26th December to the 4th of January, which normally we don't get off. We said we will think. And every client was told that 26th to the 4th, we will not be available. Every client. Are there going to be certain clients which need to turn things around like overnight because of a problem in the business or something like that? That might have worked, sure. But predominantly, as an organization, we did not work.
but
Predominantly,
again,
as
that
a
is not something that you usually do. But you, as a boss, were able to
no,
manage this kind of a
no.
change.
This was Ogilvy and Mathur. This was not
Okay,
my team. This was
okay.
Ogilvy and Mathur that did it. My point is, जिधर possible है, उधर possible होगा. जिधर possible नहीं है, उधर possible नहीं होगा. It's not like, and also I just want to say that this every weekend working thing. First of all, it is not like you're working 18 hours on the weekend. Okay, it is not like you are working like you are working during the week. First of all, okay, it is sometimes that you work. There are some weekends where you're doing a pitch. It's very bad. Also ना ये creative लोगों का नाटक है. I'll explain to you. Creative लोग ना 4 दिन पहले आइडिया नहीं देगा. हम लोग का पिच अगर कल है तो हम लोग आइडिया आज रात को देगा अगर पिच कल है. So whose fault is that? Then creative people should start thinking 4 days ago, no? Why are you not giving execution deadlines 4 days ago? This is my problem. My problem is that you want the best of both worlds. I will also write my script 1 hour before deadline, and I want weekends also. Means बाकी लोग का weekends not important. प्लानर जो बैठ के डेक बनाएगा तुम्हारे स्ट्रेटेजी बेचने को, जो भी तुमने वाहियात स्क्रिप्ट लिखी है उसको बेचने के लिए जो लिखेगा अनाप शनाप, वो कभी लिखेगा वो सैटरडे संडे को लिखे, क्योंकि तुमने डिसाइड किया मैं फ्राइडे नाइट को स्क्रिप्ट देके फिर शराब पीने जाऊंगा. ये तुम्हारा प्लान है. ये तो गलत है ना. I'm saying then okay, then as creative get disciplined. Write scripts 1 week in advance. Let servicing and account manage. That we won't do. That's really not, it's not, this argument only falls flat. Is it fair or is it absolutely wrong that it happens? Sure. But हम लोग कॉलेज में है क्या, मार्क्सिज्म पढ़ रहे हैं क्या? नहीं ना. आईफोन चाहिए ना सबको. आईफोन चाहिए, एयरपोर्ट्स चाहिए, उसके लिए पैसा लगता है.
So there's someone who sings slow claps for your for your argument.
Slow clap is sarcastic, but okay.
No, but okay. Whichever way, you definitely deserve claps for this. But there was a post, I don't know if you noticed on LinkedIn, where a creative director from a big agency in Bangalore committed suicide, and what she had written in her note was the kind of work pressure that she was going through and the kind of stress levels that she had. So you think there is something that may have been different uh, with whatever she went through, which could have probably avoided that situation?
I don't, when it comes to suicide, I mean, I'm an advocate for mental health, and when it comes to suicide, you never really know what reasons were, what pushed the person over the edge, what the triggers were, why did it happen? Was it only work-related stress? Was it just stress, or was it something else at work? I can't comment on somebody's. I think it would be absolutely wrong to use that one example to try and make a point for or against. It's an isolated incident. There are people who die of heart attacks in advertising because of work, but there are also people who die of heart attacks on Wall Street. There are also people who commit suicide in other jobs. So yeah, I don't think that that makes a case for or against a thing, and I think that it's disrespectful to her memory that we actually choose to use that as an example to try and say, hey, listen, अगर उसका work stress कम होता तो वो शायद नहीं मरता. I think that that is absolutely incorrect. We should not do that. Uh, can the stress be handled better? Absolutely. But I think that that's a virtue of the kind of team you're working with. I think that that's a virtue of, I mean, in my team, I've had someone who's, because of various reasons, had to miss work for almost 45 days, and the team managed without it. That person was given no stress at all, saying, chill. Now, the point is, when the person gets back, how do you get that person back into the system? Okay. How supportive are you as a boss? How supportive are you as teammates? How supportive are you as things? So I think that that's really what needs to be focused on. I don't think that an isolated argument, it just really disrespects her memory to try and bring that into this to save it. If you want to talk about that, I think it's a mental health conversation, which is a different conversation altogether, which is not this conversation.
Okay. So very well said. In fact, you have spoken a lot about anxiety and mental health, and like you said, you're an advocate of it. So do you think that with the kind of lifestyle that advertising gives you and the kind of stress levels that you have, and also being a creative, I understand that depression is very common because we are emotionally very strong. All the creatives, anyone who's in a creative field or an artist, depression definitely comes in. And it is not just about being emotionally strong, it's also about you somewhere you're not respected for the art. You have to struggle a lot to make money out of that art, and that sort of
एक
comes
मिनट
in
जो
way
हम
of
लोग
your
कर रहे
stress
हैं वो
levels.
एक मिनट जो हम लोग कर रहे हैं वो आर्ट नहीं है, वो कमर्शियल आर्ट है. इट प्लीज डोंट ट्राई एंड बी दिस होलियर देन. हम लोग जो कर रहे हैं ना, आर्ट है ही नहीं. हम लोग बच्चों को मीठी चीजें बेच रहे हैं. हम लोग लोगों को ये चीजें बेच रहे हैं जो उनको दे डोंट नीड दैट. दे डोंट नीड व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू सेल देम. सो इट इज नॉट आर्ट. We are not making statements and points of views and things like that, despite as much as the industry is trying to go into that. All right, it's very simple. We are at the end of the day a commercial art platform service, and commercial artists make money first. So this thing of, oh, we are artists, we are not. Take that away from any, dispel that myth. And if you're trying to join advertising because you think that you are an artist, please don't, because we will sell your art. That is our job, and that's what
Great, that
it's
is
going to
very
be.
well put.
So
So my question was that under all this stress and all the kind of working hours and everything that the kind of lifestyle that comes with advertising, you think a holistic living is possible?
what is holistic living? तुम्हारे ऊपर जो holistic living है वो holistic living है. मेरे लिए मेरा काम holistic living है. ये सच है. Is it a bad thing as per societal standards? हाँ, लेकिन सोसाइटी को मेरे को जज करने का वो मेरा प्रॉब्लम है, या सोसाइटी का प्रॉब्लम, मेरा प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. मेरे लिए वर्क इज वर्क, ट्रूली. And to me, I do 3 jobs for a reason, because that's all I can do. I can't do anything else. I'm not a social person. I don't have fun with people. I don't go to parties. I don't drink alcohol. And if I don't judge society about that way of living, I don't seem to understand why this is how I work. This is my virtue of it. So as a society, if they want to judge me, fuck that. I don't give a shit. But the point is, holistic living, अगर तुमको ऐसा संत साधु बनने का तो संत साधु बनो ना. What this? Oh, I'm guessing
No,
you're
I mean
getting to
like
work-life balance.
yeah, like you
So
can
you
have
define work-life. You define work-life balance.
like
You
I
define
have
work-life
come
balance.
across a lot of people who had to literally make a choice between making a baby or continuing to work because both were not possible while they were a part of the system.
Okay,
Or a lot of other aspects of personal life they had to
but there are a lot of
consciously
people. I mean,
quit.
the smaller part is, do I go to this party or do I finish this script? Is also a
Yeah,
choice that you make,
yeah, yeah. Which
right?
is
So
which is
it's a choice
fine,
that you
but
make.
where I'm coming from is more from a health perspective and from a personal life, like exactly what you said, work-life balance. So you think that is very, very tough when it comes to being into advertising?
I think it to each his own. I know people in advertising who manage a perfectly successful work slash life balance. Okay, I
And they are
perfectly
successful at
successful.
work also.
They are successful at work also, and it's not just men; it is also women. Okay, but मैं एक चीज इसमें बोलना था, and juniors also do it by the way. बट ज्यादातर वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस लोग सीनियर होते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि कुत्ते की तरह पहले काम करना पड़ता है. You have to earn your stripes. You
True.
are only as relevant as your last idea. That's your shelf life in advertising. Your last idea.
True.
Okay, so it's not like it is academia where if you've cracked the theory of relativity, तेरा Nobel Prize मिलके तू 200 साल तक सब लोग तेरा चीज. It's not academia. You are only as good as your last idea. It's as simple as that. And also, there isn't been a better idea than relativity. So I'm saying technically he is as good as his last idea. But that being said, it's this thing of work life balance. I think you need to decide what is life for you. What does it mean? I think at a junior age, or when you're a junior, there is a very different modus operandi. You have a lot more energy. You have a lot more. हम लोग के टाइम पे लोग 4 बजे तक 2 बजे तक ऑफिस में काम करता था. तभी पब्स 5 बजे तक खुला रहता था, तो सब लोग फिर 5 बजे घर जाता, पब जाता था. मैं घर जाता था, किताब पढ़ता था, सो जाता था, क्योंकि वो मेरा वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस था. बाकी सब लोग का मेरे को जाके आई वांट टू लेट ऑफ सम स्टीम, सो आई वांट टू गो आउट विद माय फ्रेंड्स, आई वांट टू हैव अ गुड टाइम बिफोर आई गो होम. And that was their work life balance. Nobody is judging anybody. So why we started to create this extra thing? पहले तो half the time you spend in office on your devices. Half of the time. That is why this work life balance has become a reality. Because you're on Instagram while you're at work. When we were writing, we had a book, we had steps, and we used to write. And then we would get done at 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 10:30, because we didn't have time for distractions. Now you've spent, oh, I need to sit and finish my social media quota. I need to check my Twitter. I need to check my Instagram. Oh, I need to check YouTube. अच्छा ये गाना कौन सा बज रहा है? अच्छा ये सब में तुम time waste कर रहे हो. And as a creative process, every time you spend 2 hours thinking and you distract yourself, you go back in time.
True.
So if that is the case, then I'm genuinely not understanding where is the argument. Okay, then shut off everyone's social media, no, at work. Let's see suddenly how productive everybody becomes. ऐसा जब तब तक ये ऐसा हेरोइन का डोज नहीं मिलेगा तब तक तो काम नहीं करेगा अंडर 24. So I'm saying that please understand the virtue of work-life balance is you're choosing it. Are you getting your miniature distractions during the day? Earlier, we used to get our dopamine at the end of the day. You're getting little doses of dopamine because that's what you have chosen. So there is so many virtues of this argument of work-life balance. I am saying, what is work-life balance for you? If you think that, look, I don't think that I should be working before 8 o'clock, then be disciplined enough to finish your work by 8 o'clock. And this is
But
a
it's not always
guarantee,
about
Nikita.
your work, no? There are like a lot of people
This is what I was
will
coming
call
to.
you for a
This is
meeting
what I
at
was
8
coming
o'clock.
to. This is what I was coming to. No. If you finish your work at 8 o'clock, your work, अगर स्क्रिप्ट लिखनी है, and I'm talking about as a junior, okay, अगर स्क्रिप्ट लिखनी है, तेरा काम स्क्रिप्ट लिखने पे और प्रेजेंट करने पे खत्म हो जाता है. उसके बाद you want to be involved in the process, etc., that is your call. Decide. Your job was write the script, finished. So I'm just saying,
But
you finish the
if you
script, then
will
you
be
do.
limited to your job and you won't be available for, being there for others' job, being in the part of the meeting, seeing how the process is rolled up, will you be considered as a good employee?
No,
Wouldn't there be
but
question
then
marks on
then
you?
get off. But then get off Instagram, no, during the day. Why won't you do
But that's what
that?
I'm saying. If you have
Dude,
already
2 दिन
done
के
that
लिए
and
ना,
finished
मैं
your
एक
work at 8
एजेंसी में था,
o'clock,
वो नहीं होगा. मैं लिख के देता हूँ. मैं लिख
yeah.
के देता हूँ. अगर वो हुआ ना तो फटाफट काम होएगा. 2 दिन के लिए कोई तो एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में मैं काम कर रहा था, उन लोग ने फेसबुक बैन किया था, तभी इंस्टाग्राम नहीं था. ब्रो, बवाल मच गया था. बवाल. People had lost their shit. They were like, how can you restrict an advertising agency? We are free thinkers. How can you allow us to not have service to the most trending platform? We need to understand what the medium is. Laude say, you want to spy on your friends. Please. So I don't understand this. Please, the minute you take away your distractions, your work will become more efficient. So I'm just not understanding it. Stop distracting yourself. Your work will become efficient. And if your
And
work is
that is
efficient, then everybody will become efficient. Stop. No, stop. Just stop Twitter, Instagram, Facebook on in everyone's office. Stop all these social media platforms. करके तो देखो. पहले तो तुम लोग का प्रॉब्लम है. How can you stop us from watching all of this? ये पहला प्रॉब्लम. Which is a fair point.
करके देखो, अच्छा नहीं लगेगा, बट करके देखो.
करो.
So coming from work-life balance to like how you are balancing so many things together. You are doing comedy, you are doing shows right now. You were also on a tour, and you managed to do so many things together. And knowing that you are working so hard as an advertiser, how do you manage to do that?
So मेरा दो प्रॉब्लम है. एक प्रॉब्लम है कि मैं फायर फाइटर है. Which is like, I think ideally I would have liked to be a lot more disciplined than I am. Now, most people seem to be disciplined, and I admire people who are extremely disciplined. I love them, okay, because they have the ability to say, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to work out. From this time to this time, I'm actually going to get work done. And from this time to this time, I mean, to be very honest, Sukesh, who's my boss at Ogilvy, I mean, he's supremely disciplined to a point where
Yeah.
it's unreal. वो 6 बजे उठता है, उसका 2 बच्चा है, वो दोनों बच्चे को स्कूल के लिए तैयार करता है, फिर वो स्कूल जाता है. आई मीन बहुत जेन्युइनली डिसिप्लिन्ड आदमी है वो. एंड वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस भी है उसको. So, but I'm saying he's senior, so I'm not giving you that example of a senior person, right? I'm giving you a person of a slightly of a junior person. But in my case, I would like to be very disciplined, but I'm not as disciplined as I need to be. I think I would be at least 40-50% more productive. Like my social media suffers tremendously because I'm not doing the things that I'm not a full-time comic. I'm not a full-time director. I'm not a full-time copywriter in that sense, right? Because I mean, copywriting and advertising I have to do because that is actually the true job that I'm doing, and what we call my day job, which very often trickles into the night. But uh, I think the virtue there is, I look at अब मेरा टूर लॉन्च हो गया तो मेरे को मालूम है कि 1 घंटे का मटेरियल लिखने का है. ठीक है, तो वो
Yeah.
1 घंटे का मटेरियल फटाफट लिखना पड़ेगा. Now, which means that now my focus for some time is going to have to be just stand up, right?
Yeah.
But I have some direction projects happening. Now, while the direction projects are happening, I'm going to have to work doubly hard, which means I'm going to have to sacrifice on something, which is life. So, to me, I think that that's really what it is. Now, when it comes to advertising, I don't do branded deals that are in conflict with any of the brands I work on. Any of those kind of things. Those are my morals and ethics, right? I don't do those outside. Um, uh, but if you actually look at, what what I actually do for my stand-up, right? For my stand-up, I should actually be putting up reels every day. I should be putting up content every day. I should be putting up Instagram stories or whatever. I mean, Instagram lives
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
that plan of social media, etc. I don't do that because I don't have the time to do it. So I'm doing it half. I'm not doing it wholeheartedly. I'm doing it half-heartedly, right? So,
Are you a morning person?
no, no, not at all. I think that I'm a person. I'm a whatever calls for work person. So, given a choice, would I work in the evening or work in the day? The night would be a better time for me to work. Um, but given a choice, would I work during the day? No. Given a choice, no, not at all.
I had one question with you, which has been with me for a very long time, ever since I've known you. What's with your t-shirts? Like, where do you get them from? You wear crazy
I
t-shirts all the time.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I just had this, like, I don't know, I had this fascination for either, like, मेरे को तो, so I want to print t-shirts for meetings, and I've thought about this like several times, where like I just want to write film opens on one t-shirt. Then I want to say it's really in like feedback meetings. I want to go wearing a t-shirt that says it's really great, but then I want to write. So I want to do these kind of t-shirts, but साला वापस उसका भी time नहीं मिल रहा ना. वापस मेरे को तो एक I told you so t-shirt चाहिए.
Nice.
वो मेरा लाइफ का ड्रीम है, I told you so.
And what's with Bava? Where did you get this name Bava from?
यही प्रॉब्लम है if you're not born and brought up in Bombay. So Baba is it's what you call somebody who's Parsi.
Oh, nice.
That's really what it is. It's not complicated. Babaji is what you think, and that's where it came from.
Like you said, born and brought up, I liked how you pointed that out. And I also like how you keep saying हमारे ज़माने में, हमारे ज़माने में. Are you like, why are you so fascinated by being called that you're old?
I'm not
You just love,
fascinated by it.
you
It's the
love
truth.
that you are old and you don't want to be associated with millennials. Also, I read somewhere that you hate being associated with millennials and you're happy to have escaped that.
I don't hate being associated with millennials. Some of the best minds that I interact with on social media, etc. Are millennials. एक बंदा है एशर कॉल, और एक लड़के अवनी सीमा झा, वो टिस्को मॉडरेट करता है, डिस्कॉर्ड मॉडरेट करता है हम लोग का, काफी इंटेलिजेंट है. एशर कॉल के पास एक मॉडरेटर ऑन 442 एंड वेरियस अदर थिंग्स. दिस गाय इज ही 16 or something. He's 16 or 17, and the guy is wow. Like genuinely, he runs his own alt media Instagram handle, and it's news and stuff like that. So I don't think that my disassociation or my disdain for millennials is fairly big or fairly vicious. But I think it comes from exaggeration of a joke that is needed for you to do it, and then you become that. And then it's also it's an easy exaggeration to do. So I think that that's really where it comes from. I think that there are enough. I have a problem with incompetence, with stupidity, with people who shirk work, uh, people who are just genuinely not curious or intent or even want to learn or even want to make the effort. Those people they are there in every single generation, but they've been exposed most in the millennial generation because of social
No,
media.
social media.
And so as a result, the hating of them is easier there. It's also true for my generation. But those guys just sort of fade away in the limelight, and like sediment in a glass, just settle and waft away into the distance along the riverbed. But with other people, with millennials, it's so visibly easy. Also, the thing is so hilarious because without like they when they comment or when they have a point of view, it is so limited. It is so like
The
मैं
knowledge
चार
is limited.
सेंटेंस मैं चार सेंटेंस पढ़ के आया. मेरा फेवरेट ओपिनियन लीडर का चार सेंटेंस पढ़ के आया. मेरे को आगे पीछे कुछ मालूम नहीं है, लेकिन मैं ये कोट करेगा क्योंकि मेरे पास ताकत है, मेरे पास करेंसी
Social
है.
media.
तो
मेरे
ये
पास
पॉइंट है.
हैंडल है. So is okay. I think there is a network issue.
स्पैज हो गया. सॉरी स्पैज हो गया.
Okay, okay, no
नो
problem.
नो नो वो मेरा गलती था, क्योंकि एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट व्हाट्सएप पे एक बहुत बड़ा मैसेज आया और उसके ऊपर लिखा था ब्रो विद अ स्क्रीनशॉट. तो मेरे को लगा कि कुछ कांड हो गया, क्योंकि व्हाट्सएप का स्क्रीनशॉट था. तो मेरे को लगा कि कुछ क्लाइंट ने कुछ बोला है क्या, तो नहीं, बट वो मैं रिप्लाई कर सकता है लाइव के बाद.
Okay, so yeah, so from what you just now said, is there a common mistake that you keep seeing these young people doing, young writers, young copywriters, or someone who's trying to enter advertising? सर पकड़ लिया आपने.
ब्रो ड्राफ्ट्स तो किसी को लिखना
Mistakes.
ही नहीं है ब्रो.
Let's add S to mistake.
No, I think
Mistakes.
that I think nobody wants to write drafts anymore. Nobody wants to rewrite drafts. Nobody wants to edit copy. Nobody wants to keep rewriting. क्योंकि हम
They
लोग के
hate
टाइम पे
it.
तो no, I don't think it's hate. I think that there is a structure of ये करके खत्म कर लो. Let's move on to the next thing, right? Like there are writers who love to write, and you can see it when they write because they toil over words, they toil over sentences, they toil over just like syllables and figure out that this should be longer, this should be shorter, and you can tell. There are naturally gifted writers. I mean, there is always a debate of like a Ronaldo versus a Messi, right? Like somebody who is not as talented but works really hard, and then there is somebody who is supremely talented, just like pure sheer talent, right? So I think that वो वाला scene है. There are some people who are naturally gifted writers, and so when they sort of put pen to paper, they take fewer drafts to write. But I think writing draft like when I was a junior copywriter, I remember there was a exercise that we had been given, not even an exercise, it was a live brief, and somebody told me we had to come up with a name for a one of these, like, offers, kind of, it's a chuddy pickaddy offer type, which by the way is the best offer name on the planet. Okay,
Chatti pe
it's
gaddi.
not mine. It is not mine. It is not mine. But it's great anyway. Uh, so one of
Was
these
it for
names
a
had to be
brand
written.
called Rupa?
It was for VIP, chuddy pickaddy offer. Okay. So there was a lot of like people who. So what we had to do is we had to write 100 names. Like literally, we had to write 100 names. 100. And I think the first time I actually went to my boss earlier is I took a page and there were like some 5 or 10 options. And he's like, what am I going to do with 10 options? Right? 100 and come. And then we wrote. So we had to go back with 100 options. And I think I had about 75 or something like that. And this guy, what's it called? This guy just gave us, he just took the third line or third name or something like that. I was like, but there's 97 more. You've not even gone through the remaining. There's like whatever, 72 more. Why have you not? And he's like, no, this one's good, but you need to go through the rigor to know because you would have readjusted it and put it for second, third, fourth. I mean, I remember we were doing a play, Bridge actually just reminded me, we were doing a play called The Complete Works of William Shakespeare Abridged. And we were doing that play and we decided that we wanted to do the Hamlet set, which is basically all of Shakespeare's plays in one play. That was it, right? And it's a play written by these three gentlemen thing, and so we had taken the rights and we were performing the play. But what we wanted to do is adapt the second act, which is all of Hamlet in Hindi, and we wanted to do a lot of it in Hindi. And it took us weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of rehearsals and drafts to rewrite to be able to get phonetic sentence. Because you can't write iambic, you can't write Hindi in iambic pentameter. So that's one place. So the Shakespearean text and the Elizabethan text had to stay in Shakespearean text. And then we had to fool around with other things. And so it just suddenly became an exercise. But so I think that people don't rewrite. I don't think people are interested in crafting and rewriting and reworking stuff. I think that discipline, that exercise is gone. Most drafts that come to me on email now are first drafts. And the way you can tell is because a sentence has changed, uh, gone from present tense to past tense with a and or a therefore and a because or a but in the middle, which means the writer has typed thought, written but blah, 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 and then written it out. So you've gone from past tense to present tense or river or vice versa, or put future and or future perfect with like present continuous, and it makes no sense. And you know that the writer has taken a pause to write it, and so they haven't gone back to edit it. It's not a virtue of being a bad writer. It's just that they haven't gone back to edit it. And I think that that's one big thing. I think if people just paid attention more to craft, you would be a lot happier. I would be a
You
lot
think,
happier.
of course, you think they are
Hmm.
averse to feedback?
No, I don't think so. I think that there are egotistical creative, and then I think that there are creatives who aren't egotistical. I think there are creatives who come with a certain amount of entitlement, and those are bad creatives. They're not great creative. I think averse to stupid feedback, averse to illogical feedback, which is 90% of the feedback that you get, is a virtue of both. But I don't see a single account management person who believes that the feedback that has come that is illogical is actually logical. So I think that it totally depends on the team that you work with. More often than not, I've been super lucky to be able to work with the same team that has the same mindset that says that हाँ यार ये illogical है, या तो करना पड़ेगा या तो कुछ चलना कुछ जुगाड़ निकाल के लड़ते हैं. So I think that there is a virtue of that that exists. But I think you need to just again find the right team, find the right people to be able to get that. I think
And
you
is there
can't
a
be averse to
particular,
feedback. It's a commercial art. It's commercial art. It's not art. Again.
but when you like something that I have noticed in young writers, in any kind of field, that they don't want to accept feedback, and something that they've learned that, someone, whoever is giving us a feedback, be it a producer or a client or whoever, they are stupid basically and they don't understand. And that with that mindset, they approach the second draft. I don't know if you have also experienced the same.
आई थिंक क्रिएटिव ईगो तो है ही, क्योंकि हम लोग it's very difficult to put something that you have created out into the open. And I think that I think you want, um, I think you're most secure when you're appreciated almost immediately for that piece of work that you have put up. You feel secure, which is why this whole thing of it's so great, but it's because it actually started off as a practice to cocoon insecure creative people. And as a creative person, you are absolutely insecure, right? I think young creatives are um, uh, are more vulnerable than somebody who has um, are more vulnerable than somebody who has years of experience, because they've gone through the grind, and they
Why
sort of
would you say
realize
insecure?
that all creative people are insecure. Yeah, I'm supremely insecure. I think that I will be discovered as a hack tomorrow. Then this is a fear that I have every single idea. I think it's a virtue of just being creative, because you don't know. You don't know. How do you know a joke is going to work? How do you know that this script is going to sell? Hey, three scripts that don't work. Imagine the pressure that puts on you as a creative person. And I mean, with every draft, we are like, "अरे यार ये अच्छा नहीं है यार, सब लोग को पता चल जाएगा कि फकल है यार." Oh God. I mean, we're all insecure. I mean, every creative person is insecure. You're putting a piece of your soul, whether you like it or not, on a table for people to eat and dissect and use a knife and fork and take a bite of.
And
You
also
just
throw
want them to
in
take
a
a bite
dustbin.
and then, yeah, I mean, that's what. You want them to take a bite and go, it's yummy, rather than, yeah, "Phew, ye
But
kya hai?" Yeah. You want them to just like spit. You don't want them to directly spit it out. I mean, you're okay with saying, "Arey yaar, thoda namak kam tha," but like the spitting it out is a problem. So I think and we're always insecure. I mean, it's a truism for any creative field, for any creative field. A chef
so
who's
is
cooking for the first time is like, will this work or not? Will they like it or not? So I think it's that.
and that stays with you always. You think that it
Ah, yeah,
stays with you even when
100%.
you
It's
grow.
a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing, but yes, it stays with you.
So what are the few qualities that you look for in a person while hiring them, in a writer? Or a few things which they should have if they are
I think it's nice if you
coming
know
into
the 14
advertising.
punctuation. I think it's nice if you know the 14 punctuation marks that exist in the English language. If I'm hiring you to be an English writer, it's nice if you know the difference between an ellipsis um, and a comma, or a semicolon and a colon, uh, minimal usage of the exclamation mark. Um, that kind of stuff, I think, is something important. I also think that just I think the amount of pop culture and the amount of um, rubbish that you expose yourself to just fill your RAM with like enough gutter, so that you have the ability to know what's what,
Going on.
and have the ability to express. I mean, my brain is a gutter of 90s Bollywood. Like, it's just there. I can't take it out. But I've been exposed to all of that, and I cherish some of it as well. So I think you want a copywriter a writer who is well-rounded, whether he or she or they have um, uh, had the upbringing, I don't mean upbringing, parental upbringing. I mean the mental upbringing, them I think rewarding yourself with books and poetry and music and pop culture and TV shows and drama and theater. I think the richer you are uh, as a writer, I think that's something that I look for a writer, whether he, she, or they decide that they want to be, you know, uh, successful or not. Then I think comes from there. So, yeah.
Any soft skills?
These are all soft
Anything in
skills.
the
I don't think writers
attitude.
need hard skills.
No, I mean anything. I mean anything in the attitude.
I think if you're a writer, the one thing you should be able to do is uh, to communicate. Like, I think that that's important. So I think in your interview, if you are a writer, you should be able to present your ideas. You should be able to communicate. You should be able to at least be articulate. You should know the difference between, uh, you know, like
On an act.
just like the no, I don't think it's prepositions as much as it, and I don't expect everybody to be linguistic scholars, but like I think you need to just have a fundamental command over the language that you are applying for. If you are applying for I mean, if you're going to be a specific Hindi writer, then you need to have that, right? I mean, again, it's how rich you are, how much does your brain have as a thing to go and reach out for when it needs to reach out for a resource to grapple and hold on to and say, hey, that seems like a space that I can, latch on to and see what comes out of this. I think that needs to happen.
But why is there so much of emphasis on English when a lot of work that we do is actually in Hindi
I didn't
and
say, I said
or
in whatever
regional
language that you are
language?
writing. I said
No, no,
whatever
but
language you are.
I'm saying in general, not questioning you over here, but in general, advertisers look for people who are very good at English
Not true.
because it's
Not
ultimately
true.
it's a language and you can learn it. Like if
Not
it
true
when
at
it
all.
comes to grammar, you can always improve.
You can improve. I don't think you can, at the age of 20 plus, become proficient in the language. I mean, you'll have to only be doing that for you to become proficient in the language. There is a certain, when we say that you think in English or you think in Hindi, I predominantly think in English. Predominantly. It's only when I'm writing in Hindi that I can actually now, after years, train my brain to be able to write in Hindi. And that means I need to have my thought in Hindi. But I still have the problem of I will have a concept in English which then gets translated into Hindi words. But a Hindi writer thinks in Hindi. And I think that that's an upbringing thing. I think that that's where you've been. I don't think a lot of agencies only look for people who speak in English. I think that that's a myth that was broken in the 90s. I don't think that that's necessarily relevant now. Uh, at least not the way I hire. I mean, I don't care about that. I mean, I do know that I need someone on a brand that is predominantly English. If you're working on American Express, there's very little chance that you're going to have a
Yes.
Hindi writer. If you're working on, I don't know, if you're working on a brand like British Airways. I mean, how much really are you going to? You're going to have to write more,
Yeah.
less headlines and more, DM and articles and things like that. And if that's what you're doing, that's predominantly in English. You don't need someone who necessarily. So it depends on the skill set that you're looking for. But I think that a balanced team is always needed, and I think somebody who has working knowledge of both languages is ideal. सब लोग गुलजार और स्टीफन फ्राई नहीं चाहिए, but you don't need. I mean, if you get a
But if
Gulzar
they're
and
like
Stephen Fry combined, then yes.
if there are like two
But
people, one who is predominantly thinking in English and one who can predominantly think in Hindi, who will have a better chance
who
at
has the better
advertising?
ideas? It's an ideas
That's
game. It's not a language game.
it's not about who will write a better copy or who will be able to craft a better line. Because
But
someone who
that's
is thinking
you just said that
predominantly in
the
English but has a great idea, which is also relevant to the Indian audience, Hindi speaking audience, would he still be a choice? Will he
मैं समझा
still
ही नहीं है
get
सवाल
hired?
सवाल ही
Well, if
मैं
there is a
समझा ही नहीं है
person
सवाल
who
ही
is
ऐसा इतना ट्विस्टेड
someone
कॉन्वोल्यूटेड
who is really someone
रिपब्लिक
who is
टीवी
really
सवाल है ये तो काफी the leading question to try and get a controversy question है. It's not like that. It's you look at a portfolio, you know what you want in your team. That's what I'm saying. It's a very like leading Republic TV. I want to get controversy kind of question. It's not that. It's not that.
no, no, I'm not
It's
I'm
not
not
that.
trying to get a
It's
controversy.
not
I'm just trying
Machiavellian.
to
No, no. That's what I'm saying. It's not Machiavellian. It's not. There is no like, oh my God, this person is an English person. No, it's not like that.
No,
I
I'm just
know.
trying to make things simpler for our viewers because there are a lot of people who are very good with ideas, but they're not very good at the language, and they feel that maybe we won't be able to make it in advertising because
But
we are
your
not so good
question
at
was Hindi
English.
versus English. Your
Yeah,
question was
so I'm
Hindi versus
saying
English.
who would
It's
be
not like that.
a choice of person?
It depends on
Someone
what
who
my
is,
team is looking for. When I go into an interview, I know what I'm trying to replace, or I know what I need, and basis that is what the hire will be. It's not a I need oh ये इंग्लिश है लेकिन इसका आइडिया फकल है मैं इसको नहीं लेगा ऐसा नहीं है मेरे को क्या चाहिए टीम में टू फिल द वॉइड दैट आई नीड is what I will look for and is what I will hire. Just because you don't get hired in team one, it's probably because you don't fit what they need. It's not
in
because you
most
don't.
in most job posts also you see English has been highlighted. There's no mention of Hindi, despite the brand only trying to promote Hindi, or the agency has most clients which are
मैं समझा नहीं ये
catering to Hindi
कौन सा
audience.
जॉब पोस्ट में इंग्लिश
A lot of There are a lot of job
नो
posts
नो गिव मी
out there who are
स्पेसिफिक्स
looking
गिव
for
मी स्पेसिफिक्स
copywriters. I
गिव
won't
मी
be able to take
स्पेसिफिक्स
names. I
हाँ
won't be
तो
able to
फिर
take
नो
names.
आई एम सेइंग ये इट हैज बीन वाइडली
No,
रिपोर्टेड
but
बट ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर मोर देन
no,
अ
but
फ्यू
there
सम
is
पीपल नो
like most of them. In
स्पेसिफिक्स
fact, I have hardly seen any job post which emphasizes on Hindi language. They only talk about he should
दैट
be
इज नॉट ट्रू
proficient on English language.
that's
Okay.
not true at all. That's not true at all. I mean, I just genuinely think that that's not true. I think that this is a myth perpetrated by people who just want to make a case for their inability to get into an advertising job. I don't think that there is any shadyantra to try and only hire English people or try and only hire Hindi people or to try and only hire linguistic people. I don't think that this exists. It's very simple. Idea is king. Language is only a delivery medium. So it's extremely simple, and it depends in my team. What am I looking? If I need a junior copywriter who is going to predominantly be working on a brand that is English and predominantly needs them to, predominantly need them to write those brochures and shit like that. I'm not going to get someone who's not proficient in English because I need somebody who writes English.
True.
So I'm saying that I don't see how much more clear this can be. There is no, if I need a person to write in Hindi, I will get a person to write in Hindi. But that is when I want a writer. If I want an ideator, then I'm looking for a creative person. And if I'm looking for a
Okay.
creative person, language at that point doesn't matter to me. Is
Okay.
it, if they don't speak Hindi or English, will it be difficult to work at Ogilvy, Mumbai? Yes. Because pretty much everybody else around you speaks Hindi or English. Would you have a bet if you only spoke Tamil and English? Would you be better in Ogilvy, Chennai? Yes, but that's not. It's not like we're not trying to be like, oh, you should not work here because you don't speak Hindi. No, it's what the fuck, dude. No, there's no such. There's no such thing. I mean, I remember in an office in Delhi, there was a guy who only spoke Malayalam and English. He was an art director. He was fucking outstanding as an art director. Only spoke Malayalam and English in Delhi. In Delhi. Fucking
This
outstanding. He
was a
had a
copy guy.
what?
This was a copy guy,
No,
a
I just said he was
copywriter
an
you're
art
talking
director.
about.
He was an art director. He
Art
was an art
director.
director who
Okay.
spoke Malayalam and English. And he was in Delhi. Fucking outstanding art director. But had a job, had a great job, well paying, was respected because he was a phenomenal art director. Again, I don't think that there is this whole like,
Language is a problem.
yeah, I don't, this meandering, convoluted, infinite loop that we're hoping to untwine doesn't exist. There is no loop.
Okay. One question without wasting a lot of your time, I would like to ask you
तूने
because we have
सबको
promised our
clickbait किया, by
viewers.
the way. You know na that you've clickbaited everybody because the topic that you've put on the poster is how to sell a joke.
That's what I'm coming at. That's
This is
what I was
advertising.
just about
You
to
have
ask
spent
you.
45 minutes doing everything
That's
else
what
except
I was
selling a joke.
about to ask you. That because we have promised our viewers, I will ask you that question. That what are the few things you need to keep in mind to sell what you have written, be it a joke, because you
Conviction.
also
There is no anything else you need. You need conviction in what you've
is
written. You
because
have
when
to
you're
believe what
writing a
you've
joke,
written.
you like it. But do you need to keep certain things in mind that this will be viable to the market, or this is something where people
If
would
that was the case, I'd have a
uh,
few more zeros on my in my follow account. I don't do that. I wish I could. I don't have the ability to write relatable content. I wish I could. I think there are few jokes that I have um, that are relatable. But I think, barring that, I have a very niche fan following that follows me for the crap that I do. But I think I have the luxury of doing that because I have a day job. If comedy was my only job, I think it would be different.
But
I
even
think
as
I
an
would have to worry
advertiser,
about.
because you said that it's a commercial art, so you need to think of, how
Yeah,
to write
yeah,
something which will be not just
100%.
artistically good, but
100%।
also
आर्ट तो
sellable.
है ही नहीं, निकिता,
Art to hai
क्या
hi
बोल रहे
nahi.
ब्रो? नहीं है आर्ट।
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. That there must be tons of things that you've written, first draft, second draft, that you like, and you have a conviction that this is something that I truly like and it's awesome. But how would you just
In
do a cross
advertising or
check
in
to know
stand up?
that this is sellable?
In
How do
advertising or in stand up?
both?
In advertising, the cross check is when you present it to your boss or you present it to
They will
the
cross check.
client, and you that's the cross check. And in stand up, you go to an audience and you perform it at an open mic or you perform it at a show, and you'll get
But
your
because you have
answer.
done it like several times, you may have certain points in your mind, and then the certain things that you would, certain criteria that you would put every
देख,
copy in.
मेरे लिए स्टैंड अप में एक बहुत बड़ा एडवांटेज है दैट आई डोंट नीड स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी फॉर इनकम. There's a whole different thing. If stand up was my only job, I would be pandering. I would be doing things that I don't possibly want to do. Also, I think that I don't have to do that, and therefore I can afford to be slightly more,
Hmm.
like, I don't know,
Offensive.
like not offensive. I think I don't think my material is offensive. I think it's
Bold. Is
no,
bold a good word? No.
no, I don't think it's any
Oh,
of
come
that. I
on.
think that
No, no, it is.
it's really not. I think what Kamra does is
Truth.
bold. I think what
You just speak
yeah,
the
but
truth.
yeah, I mean, mine is more that. But I think that it's not, let me just say, it's not set up punchline. That's really what I'm trying to say. I think that it's not traditionally stand up. It's not traditionally thing. For me, the biggest challenge in stand up for me was to get used to silences because I have a lot of silences in my stand up. A lot. I mean, the whole like every 40 seconds a laugh needs to happen rule doesn't work in my show at all. In any show of mine that you watch. It'll never happen. And so I think I had to get used to that. But outside of that, क्या है कुछ नहीं. उसके बाद
Is
जो
there any learning from your comedy career that you have applied to your advertising career? Because you're presenting to clients, same way how you're presenting your jokes to the audience.
ये मैं
Is there any learning?
ये मैं एक्चुअली
Please,
इस पे नहीं बता सकता. ये मैं तेरे को बाद में
please.
बताया फोन पे.
एक बता
चांस
दो
ही नहीं.
एटलीस्ट. सिर्फ एक बता, आधा आधा बता दो. तो ये तो लर्निंग, ये
अरे
तो शेयर करने
वही
वाली चीज
एक ही
है.
चीज है. वो कंट्रोवर्शियल है. नहीं, मैं छोड़ेगा एडवर्टाइजिंग तभी बताएगा. टेंशन मत लो.
And is there
100.
anything in advertising that you have been able to apply to your comedy career?
Correct. Yes, there has been, which is that the ability to tell stories.
Someone has just asked, Baba, do you do stand up for your clients? Do you? Do you try to
No,
tell jokes while you are presenting? Do you
not
apply
while
any
I'm
of
presenting.
that?
That would be a bad idea. मेरे को तो चैट ही नहीं दिख रहा है, तो मेरे को तो कुछ भी नहीं दिख रहा है. Anyway,
Oh, there
हाँ.
are awesome things being said about you.
नो,
And
मेरे को तो चैट भी नहीं दिख रहा है और मेरे को तो काउंट भी नहीं मालूम है. तो इतना. Anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah. So no, I mean, yeah, I mean, we do, but not during presenting a script because I'm presenting script. So obviously not then. But yeah, I mean, it's
आगे
like any
पीछे.
office. There's always a person who's funny and there's a person who's not funny and then there's a person who's hungry and there's a person. It's like any office meeting. I don't. It's not specifically कि Neville है तो comedian है. No, it's not that. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
not a comic when I'm in that room. I'm a creative director at that room. So
Okay. So before we let you go, there's this question which I ask everyone. What do you think? Who do you think writing or copywriting or advertising is the right choice, baby, for?
who do you think it's a right choice? Um,
What makes it a right choice, baby?
पहले तो ये पन बहुत ही वाहियात है. जिसको भी पन्स करना है ना एडवर्टाइजिंग में मत आओ. बहुत है पन राइटर्स हम लोग के लाइफ में. बट दोज हु आई थिंक I'll tell you what, okay? Truly, if you like people and you like work in the Venn diagram, and not like the money so much, advertising is a great place. because if you get to the right team, to the right agency with the right clients, I think you will be able to do a lot. I think advertising is also a lot more forgiving. I think advertising is a lot more, I know when I say this, everyone's going to be like, no, mera aisa nahi hai, but I try my best. I think advertising is a lot more inclusive, where we try to take you along. Plus, I think it's a great place to learn things. You pretty much learn simply because you're working on so many categories and because you're working on so many things. You sort of end up learning about so many things so much. Like you'll learn a lot, uh, and you learn a lot quickly. Like you'll know something about finance, and you'll know something about like the difference between sanitary napkins and tampons, and you'll know that the difference
Nutrition,
between
beauty.
headphones and Bluetooth headphones, and lipstick and not this lipstick and not thing, and blush and not blush, and you'll know the difference between a SIP and a mutual fund, and you'll know so you learn so much and so quickly. You'll know the difference between a two-stroke engine and a four-stroke engine. You'll know the difference between between like a sunroof and a moonroof, and fucking all these, like you just learn a lot,
Become so
and it's
aware.
not boring, because you're just constantly working on something else. So yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so that's that.
Yeah, I
Nothing
think that
else.
if you genuinely want to do that thing, and yeah, if you come, don't fucking complain. It's not a fun ride. Matlab, just because you're wearing shorts at work doesn't necessarily mean like it's like thing. Please, no. If
Yeah.
you are only interested in wearing shorts at work, do a startup.
And yeah, before I let you go, one last question. Anything you want to say to Shweta?
Which Shweta? Who Shweta? The trend wala Shweta.
Shweta, yeah. Fun
Yeah, I
guitar.
think all your
Big time on
classmates
a
are
client call.
assholes. I think all your classmates are assholes, and they're fucking dicks for not actually kicking you out or disconnecting it themselves. I think that this is clearly an example of the Schadenfreude that is going to be the complete deprivation, or it's going to be the complete de-evolution of our society as a whole. Uh, and riding on that,
Someone has made a video out of
okay,
it.
is absolutely despicable. And congratulations, this is what you deserve as a fucking society. This is what you deserve because you have made it trend. So fuck you.
That's what you're saying to Shweta? Fuck you? Or
No,
to the
I know.
society?
I
To
said
the
your
friends?
classmates are assholes. I said your classmates are fucking assholes, and I think everybody who has driven this up the wall are fucking assholes.
Okay, crazy Baba. So it was really nice to have you over here and talk to you.
Um, I doubt it, but okay.
No, I really had fun and I'm very very sure because you can't see the comments. People are also having a lot of fun. So आपको बहुत सारे लोग रेज्यूमे भेजने वाले हैं. एक क्वेश्चन आया था जो मैं आपको क्विकली पूछ लेती हूँ कि have you ever found a fan in your clients? Is there any client who said, "Hey, you are Neville Shah. I'm a huge fan."
Huge fan तो नहीं बोलेगा क्योंकि they are in a position of power. But hey, your Neville, I like your videos, is what they will say.
Okay, and has that benefited you in any way while selling?
नो,
Which
ये कौन बोल रहा है? नहीं,
कोई नहीं
नहीं,
बोल रहा है. I'm just being curious.
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं.
Okay, cool. So I think I had a great time talking to you, as usual.
Oh,
And
thank you, man.
I hope I also made your morning a little bit. I don't know how
Ah,
much again. I
except you
managed to
increase
piss
my
you
blood
off.
pressure with
I know, as usual, last time also, I think I had pissed you off.
no, it's not पैसा. मेरे को ये आर्गुमेंट ही फैलेसी है, प्रॉब्लम हुआ है. बट ठीक है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. वो
मैं
गलती
थैंक यू
तुम्हारा नहीं
सो
है वो.
सो मच. गलती मेरा नहीं है बट आई थिंक अगर मैंने गलती किया भी है तो आई एम ग्रेटफुल फॉर इट एंड आई एम हैप्पी दैट आई मेड दिस मिस्टेक.
Cool. Thank you, man. Namaste.
Cool. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Bye, guys. See you guys. Bye,
Bye,
bye.
guys. Thank you.